It was the summer of 1997 when James Peterson, an outdoorsman from Duluth, Minnesota, experienced a life-changing encounter that would forever alter his perception of the world around him. James was no stranger to the wilderness, having spent most of his free time exploring the dense forests that border the vast Great Lakes region. With a passion for nature and a deep respect for the environment, James ventured out on a solo camping trip that would inadvertently become the backdrop for a most extraordinary tale. On a warm July evening, James set up camp near the banks of the Cloquet River, a serene and remote location that provided a perfect opportunity for solitude and reflection. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the sounds of the surrounding forest began to crescendo, James prepared a small fire and settled in for the night. It was not long after darkness had enveloped the landscape that he first sensed something was amiss. The initial feeling was subtle, a tingling sensation on the back of his neck that hinted at the presence of another. James dismissed the sensation as the product of an overactive imagination and turned his attention to the crackling fire before him. As the minutes ticked by, the feeling intensified, morphing into an inexplicable sense of dread that seemed to weigh heavily on his chest. It was then that he heard it, a distant, guttural howl that pierced the silence of the night. The sound was unlike anything James had ever encountered, a chilling combination of aggression and desperation that seemed to reverberate through the very air around him. As the howl echoed across the landscape, James felt a chill run down his spine, and he instinctively reached for the hunting knife he kept at his side. A rustling in the underbrush alerted James to the presence of something large, something that was steadily making its way towards his campsite. Gripping the knife tightly in his hand, he attempted to peer through the darkness in search of the source of the disturbance. The rustling grew louder, and it was apparent that whatever was approaching was doing so with deliberate intent. The moment James saw the silhouette of the creature, he knew he was facing something far beyond the realm of the ordinary. Standing at least 8 feet tall and covered in thick, matted fur, the being exuded an aura of primal power that seemed to dwarf even the largest of the region's wildlife. The creature's eyes glowed with an unnatural intensity, reflecting the flickering light of the campfire and revealing a gaze that seemed to penetrate James's very soul. As the Sasquatch stepped into the firelight, James found himself unable to move, transfixed by the sight of the legendary creature that now stood mere feet away. The being regarded James with a mixture of curiosity and wariness, tilting its massive head as though attempting to decipher the intentions of this strange, human interloper. As they locked eyes, a strange sense of understanding seemed to pass between them, an unspoken acknowledgement of the surreal encounter that was unfolding. For several long moments, the two stood there, neither making a move to approach or retreat from the other. It was as though time itself had come to a standstill, allowing for the formation of a connection that transcended the boundaries of species and the limitations of language. As the fire crackled and the night air grew colder, James slowly lowered his knife, his fear giving way to a profound sense of awe and wonder. The Sasquatch, seemingly sensing James's shift in demeanor, took a step closer, its massive frame casting an imposing shadow over the campsite. Despite its terrifying appearance, the creature exhibited a surprising degree of gentleness, its movements deliberate and cautious as it examined its surroundings. As the minutes stretched on, the Sasquatch appeared to grow more comfortable in James's presence. It slowly began to explore the campsite, its large fingers brushing against various objects with a childlike curiosity. James watched in silent amazement as the creature examined his belongings, all the while maintaining a respectful distance from him. The encounter reached its peak when the Sasquatch approached the fire, its eyes locked on the dancing flames. It cautiously extended a hand towards the heat, only to quickly retract it as the fire licked at its fingertips. The being let out a soft, almost sorrowful sound, and James could not help but feel a pang of empathy for the creature. It was then that he made the decision to offer the Sasquatch some food, hoping to strengthen the fragile bond that seemed to be forming between them. Carefully, he reached for a small bag of trail mix, extending it towards the creature with a steady hand. The Sasquatch eyed the offering warily, but after a moment's hesitation, it took the bag in its massive hand and began to consume its contents with surprising grace. As the Sasquatch finished its meal, it looked at James with what seemed to be a mixture of gratitude and understanding. With a final, lingering glance, the creature turned and retreated into the darkness of the forest, leaving James to ponder the extraordinary events that had just transpired. The encounter with the Sasquatch would have a profound and lasting impact on James's life, as it challenged his understanding of the world and the creatures that inhabited it. He would go on to share his story with others, helping to fuel ongoing discussions about the existence of the elusive being and the potential for uncharted mysteries lurking just beyond our reach. Though skeptics may dismiss James's account as mere fantasy or delusion, those who have listened to his tale cannot deny the conviction with which he speaks, nor the deep sense of wonder that seems to accompany his every word. For James, and for many others who have ventured into the unknown, the encounter with the Sasquatch in the wilds of Minnesota serves as a poignant reminder that the world is a far more complex and mysterious place than we could ever hope to understand.